Hello. Hi. Now I'm live. I thought I was live, but I guess I wasn't. Hi, Connie. Are you there? I see that you said you're looking forward to it. I hope you're here. Anyway, let me know if you can hear it or if anybody else can. In the meantime, because I'm waiting for people to arrive, I was just going to tell a story about what is Scientology. I was in the original What is Scientology, basically about a story about my parents and how Scientology kind of helped me reconnect up with them. And which is ironic because later they made me almost disconnect from my mom. Hi, antics of a mama squirrel. How are you? Anyway, I ended up in the original first What is Scientology? And then right before I escaped out, they said, we're going to do a brand new edition of What is Scientology? And you're going to be in it. And I said, okay. And they said, come on over. We want to take a new photograph. So they took a photograph, and I will show you. This was in 2000. And here I am. And that's my Dianetic success story. Or, it was just a Scientology success story. But what had happened, it's kind of funny. Thank you. I first wrote up a success story about auditing. And I thought they're never going to use me for auditing when they've got all these celebrities. And back then they had a lot of celebrities. And so I thought, well, let me try a different one. So I wrote one on training. And then again, hi, Sophie. Thanks for coming on. I'm telling them about my What is Scientology story. And this was back in, I don't know when it came out. It was in the 70s and or early 80s, either one. But it was a long time ago. And I did one on auditing, and I thought they're not going to use me. They're going to use a celebrity. So then I did one on training, and I thought they're still not going to use you, Tori. So I wrote one on my parents and just reconnecting with them. And they used it. It's in the original What is Scientology? So now in 2000, I'm waking up, and I'm right before I leave. They come out with a very small, because the original What is Scientology is really thick, but this is like a very skinny What Scientologists Say About Scientology. And I'm in that. And I just showed the photograph earlier. Hello to everyone. It's good to see you guys here. Thank you for coming on. I have a new schedule I wanted to let you guys know about. I'll probably say it a few times. I'm going to do Monday and Wednesday at 8, which is much earlier, but I think it'll be better. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to try it out. Monday and Wednesday at 8. Hi, Marcia Smith. Thank you. You are the center of stage in your circle. That's true. Oh, that's right. The circle's back. It's funny because I did an interview with Mark and Janny, the peeling the onion, and there was no circle. And so they were going to help me get rid of it, but it wasn't there. So we didn't have to do it. So I don't know. I really don't know what makes it come on and off, but I can ask Mark because he said if I had any technical questions, he'd help me. But I did an interview with them, which will probably come on Sunday. I think they're going to post it. Hi, Country Travels, Cajun Country Travels. Cool. Hello. So anyway, I ended up in the What is Scientology, this, and I knew that I was in it, and now I escaped out. And when we went up to New Hampshire, afterwards on the way back, Bob said, oh, we're going to protest in Boston. I said, I'm not going to protest. I told you I'm not going to protest. And he said, okay. And I said, you can just drop me off at a mall. But then I thought, how flaky am I? I knew by then I'd talked to a week's worth of families begging me to help them, and they'd lost their kids or this and that. And, they're kind of tragic stories. And I thought, I've got to do something. So I said, look, just drop me off in front of the org, and I'll go in by myself. So I went in, and Oh, yeah, that's right. Carolyn Percy. Remember that name, Carolyn Percy. That's who is the person. I've been trying to remember her name forever to tell you guys. Anyway, I go in and I said, hi, I'm Tori. I'm a Scientologist because I still was kind of in my head. And I said, well, not really, because I just left. But you better call HCO, which is what they're supposed to do if there's something bad happening. And the lady said, well, I am HCO. And I said, well, good, then you can give me a tour. And, just kind of goofing around. And Carolyn Percy was in the lobby of the Boston org as a bookseller. And she said, Tori, hi, it's Carolyn. And she said, oh my God, you're in the book. And I had this Homer Simpson feeling of like, this is the first and last time you are ever going to see that magazine. And so I said, do you think I could get a copy of it? And she goes, yeah, sure, take it. And it is, honestly, I've never seen another copy of it. I don't know if anybody else has, but I have never seen another copy of it. And I don't think they ever sent it out because there were a few people in there that had left that were, at the time, they were in good standing, but now, they left. So there you go. But anyway, that's my beginning story while you guys are popping on. I love it. Thank you for coming on. It's kind of your thing. I love it. Oh, the circle. It's kind of funny because this afternoon we did it, and you could see the whole room. It was different. The circle wasn't there. Maybe it's because of the lighting. Maybe that's something to do with it. I'll keep working on it. But in the meantime, that's the way it is. So hello to you guys. Thank you for coming on. Happy Friday. Well, is today Friday? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's Friday night. Happy Friday night. And today is March 21st. There you go. So I have a new schedule. I already told Lovett and Sophie about it, I think. But if I haven't, I'm going to repeat it. Hi, YRB. Hi, Tori. Hope you're having a great day. I am. I really am. I'm having a wonderful day. It's been a really, really good time. I spent it with my friend Drew came over and my son Justin, and we just went out to eat and had a great time. So it's been a good day, good night. And so my new schedule, that's what I was going to tell you, is I'm going to do Monday and Wednesday at 8. And then Friday night, like tonight, is going to be Midnight with Magoo, kind of 11 to midnight. And then Sunday, I'm going to do a Q&A. So if you have any questions that you want to ask me, you have to write it, send it in to me on an email. Please put YT, meaning YouTube, and send it to me on the Tori Magoo 44. No. Don't send it on the Tori Magoo 44. No. That's the one that I have like 80 billion things on it. So that's why I'm saying no. Here we go. That's my email. My name, Tori Christman, and it's Tory, Christman like Christ man, 44 @gmail.com. So there you go. If you can send me any questions you have, I'll answer them on Sunday. So there you go. So that's my new plan. And if you guys like it or don't, I want you to let me know. So I'm just trying to try different things and see what works, what doesn't work. But for me, doing the midnight, as much as I love it because I get to talk to people from all around the world, and I love that, but it's just, I end up too late. I'm up too late, and then I sleep in half the day, and it's just kind of like, it's too much. It really is. So I'm going to cut it back, and that's the new schedule. So there you go. Oh yeah, I've got to put the comments back on. I was thinking, where did everybody go? There you are. All right. And Hans, hi. Morning. All right. Good morning. That's right. It is. It's the weekend. It's kind of amazing for me. I had, on St. Patty's Day, we went to this one restaurant that had a whole St. Patty's Day, kind of special menu. And one of the things was a mint chocolate chip ice cream sundae with hot fudge sundae with hot fudge on it and whipped cream and everything. And I thought, I really want that. So I thought, okay, you know what, Tori? I'm just going to have that. I'm not going to have dinner. I'm going to have that as my dinner. And I did. And then I just ate very lightly for the rest of the week. And I went to Weight Watchers Thursday night and I lost 1.8 pounds. So that was kind of fun to be able to do something totally outrageously not Weight Watchers. But, they're big on do 80-20, 80% of the time be on program, 20% do whatever you want. So this was I'm doing what I want. And it was fun. It was really fun. I tried to talk them into it. We went to the same place tonight, and I tried to talk them into it, but they were like, no, we don't want it. And I was like, darn. And I'd had dinner, so I wasn't going to have dinner and a whole Sunday myself. No, that's too much. Too much. So anyway, tonight I'm going to talk to you guys. For years, I don't know if you guys ever heard me say this, but I used to, and I have for years, for 24 years, I've been saying tick-tock, tick-tock, time is on our side. And what does that mean? Well, Scientology was posting, this was when I first escaped out, and they were posting tons of lies about me and fair gaming me and just doing really creepy things. And no one would stand up and speak out. I mean, Andreas did, and many of the critics did, but Scientology didn't know those people. They were just like different people. But I started saying tick-tock, tick-tock, time is on our side, meaning because I would go out and talk to people. I would be out protesting and I'd talk about Scientology and they'd go, well, they have a right to their religion. And I'd say, it's not a religion, it's a cult. It's different than what you think. It is not what you think. And I would start telling them about it. And so I said, okay, here's the bottom line. Because usually a Scientologist back then would be there right with me, standing, like a Sea Org member, like, I'll tell you the truth. And I'd say, okay, here's the difference. You can ask me any questions and I'll answer it. And he can ask me any questions and I would answer it. But he is not allowed to talk to me. He cannot talk to me at all. And that is the difference. It's like, okay, they sell freedom, which first of all, who can sell freedom? Really? Really? No. They sell communication, but they can't talk to anybody. So it's just this big phony thing. But now Miscavige, somebody's been trying to sue Miscavige and Gavin Potter and a few other people for, I think, a few years now. And now the judge has actually set a date for Miscavige to go to court. To go to court. And I wanted to tell you guys more about Gavin Potter because this is a thing. Gavin Potter, you might wonder, like, why is Gavin Potter part of this? Well, Gavin Potter was a recruiter for the Sea Org that I knew. He might have done other things, but that's what I knew him as. And he would go into the high schools where our kids were and take the kids out without the parents knowing, take them to dinner, tell them how wonderful the Sea Org is. They would sign their billion-year contract. He would get them to join. The parents would say, okay. And then they'd get in there and see, this isn't what he said it was at all. And they'd start saying, I want to go home. And of course, Scientology would start in on, okay, what are your overts? What are your crimes? What have you done to the Sea Org? Why do you want to leave? That kind of thing. And they would eventually spit them out with thousands of dollars owed to Scientology for their sec checking that they got, basically saying, I don't want to do this. So I have said for years, and I know Gavin Potter, but I thought, you know what? He belongs in jail. He really does for doing that kind of thing to that many kids. It's just to any kids. You just shouldn't do it. It shouldn't be allowed. And I hope they get him as part of it. I really do. For that reason. I mean, I'll tell you how bad it got. I was driving around with someone from OSA. And OSA, if you're listening, you can plug in on this and catch this. I'm driving around with I think it was Janet Weiland. And let me see, wait 1 second. Hi, 49ers for life. DM is such a piece of crap, such a disgusting human being. I agree with you on that. So I'm driving around with Janet Weiland, and I said, I want you to understand something, Janet. You are creating an army of children that will never go back in the Sea Org. Never, because of what you've done to them. And I ran to what I just told you. They will never join staff, which back then was really big. They had, Sea Org and then 3-year or 2.5-year contract or 5-year contract for being on staff. And a lot of people did that. I said, that's done. These kids will never join staff. And you know what? A lot of these kids will never do Scientology. And that has actually proven to be true. And she said, I think you're right. And she said, I'll tell you what, you tell the parents if they don't want to pay the freeloaders debt, which was thousands of dollars for these underage kids. And of course, an underage kid can't work and make money. So it was really, really a trap, right? And she said, you tell them if they write me and let me know, I'll give them their money back. I mean, I'll cancel the freeloaders debt. And so I know 2 parents that wrote in and did that, and she did cancel their freeloaders debts. Now, tons of other people just let their kids stay in there, and I know 2 of them at least that have committed suicide and they're gone forever. And it just was a really bad scam. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you guys about that because Aaron, if you watch this video today, and it's a good one to watch, it's not tonight where he's protesting, but the one right before that about Miscavige being being set for trial. It's a good video. He's got a lot of facts in it, and I want you guys to listen to it and hear it because I hope he goes to trial. I really do. And this is Miscavige as well as Gavin. I hope Gavin too. And a little story on that. He actually, my son called, was at Delphi, and he called, and that's where Gavin was getting these kids. And he called me, sounded real giddy. And I said, are you with Gavin Potter? And he goes, uh-huh. And I said, all right, put him on the phone. And I said, Gavin, this is Tori. And you have 15 minutes to get my son back to my house, or I'm going to be calling the police. I mean, I was really pissed off. And so he gets my son home, and I take my son into another room, and I say, do you honestly want to join the Sea Org? Because I was very pro Sea Org, but only if you wanted to be in it. Because I had watched people get recruited into it who didn't want to be in it, and it was a nightmare. It was a big mess. And so I took my son, and I said, do you really want to do this? And he said, not really. And I said, okay, then that's it. And I came out, and I said, Gavin, no. He's not doing it. That's it. So there you go. They leave. The next morning, they come with one of my son's best friends. And he says, we really need you to join the Sea Org. You don't know this, but the end of the world is coming and your parents are going to die if you don't come and join the Sea Org and help us. This is a true story. And he, of course, like any kid, would cave in and think, okay, I'll come help you. He's just thinking he's going to join and help them. So he leaves. My husband and I are in this room crying, both of us, because we feel like somebody kidnapped our kid. It's so awful. And so I think about it a bit, and I say to my husband, who was born in Scientology, basically, 1950 his parents got in, and I say, you know what? I look at him and I say, what would a judge say to us? I mean, let's just think about it for a minute. I mean, what if they are doing something bad to these children? What would a judge say to us down the road? And he goes, I don't know. I can't think about it. And I said, okay, well, I can. And this is what a judge would say. Did you ever go check on your children? And he goes, well, I can't do that. And I said, okay, well, I can. And I got in my car and I drove over there to the Horseshoe, where I knew that's where they were. And I go in the Horseshoe and the guy says, you can't be here. And I said, really? And I parked my car and I got out and I said, all right, what do I have to do to get inside there? Because I mean, I meant business. I was either going to call the police or something. You know what I mean? This was my son. And so he said, okay, you have to come in with a Sea Org person. And I said, okay, I only know 8,000 Sea Org. I mean, I knew a ton of them. And some guy walked by, I said, let me come in with you. And I went in and I see over in the corner, and it's all these kids all in in yellow, which was their EPF outfits. And there's one kid in the middle, all in black, my son. And I point to him and I go, come over here. And he comes over and he goes, did you hear the bad news? And I said, no, I didn't hear the bad news. What's the bad news? And of course, I didn't want him in the Sea Org, right? Because I knew he didn't want to be in the Sea Org. So he goes, did you hear the bad news? And I said, no, what's the bad news? And he goes, I don't want to stay here, Mom. And I said, okay, well, let's go up to your room and get your stuff. And we go up to his room and I said, get everything because you are not coming back here. So he gets everything. He didn't have that much. He had like a duffel bag full of stuff. So he gets everything. Hi, Verity. Welcome. Happy Friday night. So he gets everything. I'm telling him a bit about Gavin Potter recruiting kids and taking them out of high school and into the Sea Org. And this was my son. And now I'm going to get him out of the Sea Org. And so I say, get everything because you're not coming back here. So now I go, all right, we're going to go over to Bridge, which is where Gavin was working out of. And it was right on Fountain, right behind the AO building. That was Bridge Publications at the time. And so I said, all right, let's go to Bridge. And I said, and Gavin was there. And I said, all right, I need to talk to you. And I said, look, this was a completely illegal recruitment cycle. My son is underage. You did it without talking to me or my husband. Not okay. Cancel it immediately. And he goes, I don't have that authority. And I said, well, you know what? Find somebody who does, because we're leaving in 15 minutes and it better be canceled by then. So you figure it out, Gavin. You go and get whoever the fuck you have to get and get him down here. And he goes upstairs and he comes down and the commanding officer comes over and I said, I need to talk to you. And we sit down and I explained the whole thing to her, what I just told you. And I said, this is totally illegal. And I do not, and a lot of you people may not know this, but in Scientology Sea Org, if you leave the Sea Org, it's a huge black mark on your name forever. You left the Sea Org, God forbid. I mean, now it's kind of a comedy routine because it's just so different from what it was then. But remember that the internet was not really happening back then. So we didn't know a lot of stuff. And so I just said to her, I do not want my son being considered ex-Sea Org when he was never in the Sea Org. And she goes, okay, fair enough. And I said, so I want the contract torn up and I want it completely canceled. And I don't want to hear a word about how he blew the Sea Org because he didn't. You illegally recruited him into the Sea Org. And so that's a true story that happened. And that's why I think Gavin Potter should be in jail. There you go. All right, so now 49ers for Life question. Do you know if Gavin is still in? Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're suing him. Yeah, he's part of the suit with Miscavige. Go watch Aaron Smith-Levin's video. Yes, I think it was yesterday or earlier this morning. It's not the one tonight where he's picketing, but the one right before that. But yeah, he's definitely in. And hopefully he will go to jail. I mean, he should. He really should. I know 2 kids who are dead. They took their own lives. And they were all part of that whole scam. And it's like, you can't get out. It's like the Hotel California. You can check in, but you can't check out. And OSA, that's true. Because you guys are still in. You can't check out. You can't call me. Bill Yachty, you told me I'll never disconnect from you. Have you ever called me? Ever? I went over and talked to your people at your it's now the Church of Scientology, Sherman Oaks. But I went over there after your wife died to just say I was sorry that she died. She was a friend of mine. And I think I was with Drew, actually. We went over there together and he'd heard a bunch of these stories, but he'd never seen it. And I said to this lady, look, I wanted to talk to Bill. And she said, well, he's already gone for the day. He went to course, so that's that. And I said, well, I wanted to tell him I was sorry about Kathy. And she goes, oh, we handled that last year. Drew was just like stunned. He had heard about how cold they are about death and stuff like that. But to actually hear it out of someone's mouth, Oh, we handled that last year. Just like it was like nothing. It's like we dusted that room yesterday, kind of thing. It was just, to think someone's life was gone. So yes, to answer that 49ers for life, he is still in, and he's part of a suit with Miscavige and I think one or two other people. So there you go. So anyway, what's new with you guys? Does anyone else have a question or a comment? I don't know. Well, come on, you guys. Verity, you have a question. Hi, Crypto. Crypto Gambles. All right. Awesome as always. Hit that like button. Oh, thank you. Yeah, hit the like button. Don't forget that. And check and see if you're still subscribed, because YouTube, for whatever reason, with a bunch of us, is unsubscribing people. So you have to make sure you are subscribed. And if you can, bring more people. The more people, the better. It grows, and that brings the algorithm up, and then it's seen more by more people, that kind of thing. So thank you, Crypto. Kind of amazing, this time period in our lives. It's just unbelievable that we're going through what we're going through. But in America especially, it's tricky. You have always stood on your own principles with your son. That makes me so happy. I know I really have, and I have for myself too, because of epilepsy, and I've had to fight them on that. I fought them for 30 years on it. I still have to fight people. Some people are still, they'll call me up, you should get off your medicine, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Now wait a minute. Antics of a mama squirrel. Okay. I want to hear in detail your story of how your friend traced down your troll to a library and what the trolling actually consisted of. I don't know what you're talking about. I want to hear in detail your story about how your friend tracked down your troll. I don't know who my friend is, so you have to let me know who that is. And I'm not sure what you're talking about, where they tracked down my troll to the one I know what you're talking about now. And I don't really have any more details than what I've told you. That was back in early 2000s. Scientology had paid various people to post lies about me on the internet. And one of them, it took us a while to figure it out. One was a librarian. One was a guy named Truth Seeker, who ended up putting my phone number in for a good time call Tori on a porn site. And we ended up doing a police report on him, and he vanished forever. And the other one was this lady that my friend figured out was homeless. And I think my friend has passed away now, so I don't even think she's alive. But at the time, she figured out, she said, I think she's just a homeless person working out of a library. And so she went, I think it was in Utah. I think she was in Utah, the lady. And she found her, and she was typing away on a library computer and typing lies about me over and over and over and over. And, she came back and said she is homeless and they must be paying her, because no one else would do that. I mean, what would be the point of doing that? So, that's pathetic when you think about it, that someone would actually pay a homeless person to write lies about someone that they don't like. I don't know. To me, it's pretty sick. Okay. Question from Connie B. Do you ever see a day when Scientology will be done for. Could be. It isn't anything in the near future that I see. I think both Spanky and I think it's going to end up kind of like the Christian Science Monitor or something, where it's just like a building and people can go in there and read and stuff, but it's not really going to expand, thanks to David Miscavige, because he's not expanding it at all. He's buying new buildings, but he's not expanding Scientology. Charles, hi, Charles. Hi, Tori. Ready for the hot weather next week? I am. I'm done with cold weather. I am so, and I know I'll end up complaining about hot weather because it gets so hot here too. But I am ready for it for now. I'll just say for now, yes. In a couple of weeks, I may have a different story, but there you go. All right. And Connie B, it's hard to believe that your husband completely disconnected from you. How sad. He doesn't have a choice. He's OT8. He's in Scientology. It isn't like they can stay friends with someone that's declared suppressive. And if you haven't seen my SP declare, here it is. They declare you suppressive. They write up all these phony things about you. And it's by the Church of Scientology International. And your only terminal is the Continental Justice, the International Justice Chief via the Continental Justice Chief. That's it. That's the only person. So he can't. If he did, he will lose his wife, which he remarried. So he would lose her and any of his friends that he has. And plus, I don't really know, like I grew up a Catholic, and then I got into Buddhism, and then I got into Scientology. But I don't think he ever had anything outside of Scientology. He met Hubbard when he was 5 years old. And, so I don't know if he can think outside of it. I really don't. A lot of people have been born into it and gotten out, but he obviously didn't. And it is sad. It is sad. I feel sad for him and I feel sad for me, but it is what it is. And that's all there is to it. All right. I know it is hard to believe, though it is. But that's true for disconnection in general. I mean, one of my dear friends, I've told you this many times, but she has kids, and thankfully half of them are talking to her. Half of them are in Scientology and won't. And she has grandchildren, and the ones that are in Scientology, those grandchildren she's never met in years. It's like they're like 20 years old now. She's never met them. And that's really sad. That just shouldn't be. And it certainly shouldn't be with the label of a religion. It's just cruel. Okay, June. Okay, hi, Tori. Good to see you tonight. Yay. Thank you. I feel the same. I'm happy each of you is here. Thank you. I met Clint Eastwood once out at the Aero Theater. I didn't really meet him. He was there. What they would do is show a movie, and then the person starring in it, or a director, or some of the people in the movie would go on stage and do a Q&A afterwards. So he was there, did his Q&A, and at the end he said, "I'm just going to give one tip that I have." And I thought, okay, what is Clint Eastwood's tip, right? And he said, "If you don't have anything to say, close your mouth." And it's a good tip. I mean, I'll see myself go like this. And like you look in the movies and people are like, so anyway, that's Clint Eastwood's tip. Hi, the Orowitz. Okay, hi, good. All right, Verity. In some ways, it feels like DM had some intrinsic understanding that COS would get found out to be a cult, so he made at a point into real estate. That could be. You might be right because he sure has switched from Scientology. I mean, I think part of that was it because he was getting attacked so much and the church was getting attacked so much. And I don't think he really saw an end to that road. Do you know what I mean? As far as promising, first of all, I know that he knew the upper bridge didn't work because enough of the people, he was the one who announced at an event, okay, the OT7s are screwed up and here's why. We didn't train them correctly. That's what he said. So he knew we were screwed up, right? So I think he had seen enough of OT7s and 8s and really OT5, 6, 7, and 8 just not doing well and thought, you know what? We don't need this. Let's just buy buildings and sell buildings. And then who can attack us, right? It's not a bad idea when you think about it. I mean, it's a bad idea for Scientology, but as far as, his survival, and he obviously didn't care about the tech like Hubbard did. So I think you might be right. That's an interesting one. Verity. Good one. Eastwood seems like a man of few words. I know. Isn't that perfect? I mean, it was a perfect, if you don't have something to say, close your mouth. I met so many cool people there. So many cool people. Who was the gentleman that starred in starts with a C and he ran London? I can't remember his name. But he was like not a chancellor, but who am I thinking of? Come on, you guys. It's a movie. It was made about the guy that ran London, and he's a big fat guy. Gary Oldman. Exactly. That's right. And he starred in it, and I love Gary Oldman. But, he's a tiny guy. And obviously in that movie, which was Churchill, right? And he was huge. I mean, his face was huge. His body was huge. It was really amazing. And I was like, oh my God, he really gained a lot of weight. Which of course wasn't the case. It was just all, he said, normally for this kind of thing where they have to do prosthetics and things like that, they'll do it for a week, maybe 2 at the most. And it'll be an hour or 2. He said, mine went on for a month and it was 4 hours a night. I think it was 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours, or maybe even longer. It was a tremendous thing for him to go through that. But anyway, it was really cool because he was on stage and everyone wanted to get his autograph. So they were all standing by the stage, getting autographs. And he's coming like right near me. And I know I've told this story, so you might have all heard it, but I'm going to tell it anyway, because it's just one of my favorite stories. So he comes really close to me, and then I hear someone say, Gary, come this way. And he turns around to walk away. And I think, damn. And my son's a big fan of his also. And so I said, Gary, can you just let me take one quick photograph of you? My son's a big fan, and I want to show him. And so he turns around, comes over, leans down. We do a selfie kind of thing. And I say, okay, thank you. And, there's so many people that want to talk to him. I'm not going to hold him up, right? And he goes, well, let me see it. And I hold up the camera and he goes, nobody's going to know that's me. And he jumps off the stage, puts his arm around me and looks at this other guy, hands him the camera and goes, take a picture of us. And it's the greatest picture. It's a really cute picture of the two of us. But isn't that sweet of him? I thought that was so sweet. And my son loved it too. He was like, wow. It's really fun. He played a great bad guy. Yeah. I cannot fathom having to gain and lose weight like that. Well, he didn't gain and lose weight. Those were prosthetics that they put on him to make him look heavy like that. He didn't gain that weight. I thought he did, but no, he didn't. He explained it in big detail. It was a huge process that he went through every night. Now let's see. Antics of a Mama Squirrel said, he's a great actor. It's nice to hear he is gracious. Isn't that? I know. I mean, I like to share that with people when actors are really cool. I mean, that was really kind. He certainly didn't have to do that at all, but it meant a lot to me. It really did. It was very fun. I loved it. That was when the Egyptian was happening, which is the Egyptian theater here that now Netflix bought. And then the Aero Theater was their sister theater. And my friend Andrew, who basically turned me on to live stream with Jessica and Will, he worked at the Egyptian. And so he was right next to the testing center all the time. So he became his own critic just from being near them and also talking to me and me filling in the blanks on different things. But it was a fun thing. It really was, because they had memberships, and then they would show a movie, and a lot of these stars live here in Hollywood. So they would invite them to come and talk, and they liked talking. It was really great. I remember once some other friends of mine set up a thing because there's also fabulous singers that are here in Hollywood, and in between being on Broadway, they're off Broadway. They're kind of like doing whatever they do. And so these guys set up this whole thing where they would have a club, and these different celebrities would come and sing their songs at these clubs. And it was so much fun. So that was originally out in Santa Monica, and then now they moved it into Hollywood to around Los Feliz. And I was there one night, and they did Pulp Fiction. They were doing that and the different songs from that. And I said, you should invite Quentin Tarantino to come over and see this. I mean, everybody's singing and dancing, and it's a fabulous, this is really a cool thing for him. He would love it. And they said, oh, he's not going to come. And I said, call him. You don't know, give him a call and see. And he came the next night. He came and it was just a little cafe, kind of there, kind of a theater. But anyway, he came. It was really fun. Hey, Tori, hi. Great girl in the sky. That's a good one. All right, now let me just see. Okay, there we go. Now I can see better. Antics of a Mama Squirrel said, I hired a singing telegram, which was a lot of actors between gigs doing impersonations. It's fun. You hired them or you did it yourself? That does sound fun. And Great Girl in the Sky said, what do you make of the John Travolta driving by Clearwater protesters for the 4th week in a row? Did he this week? I know last week it was the 3rd week, and he was filming. He had his camera out, and Aaron said, yeah, he's got the camera out. I think, they should Aaron said, I'm going to get one of those stand-up things of John Travolta, and he should. He really should. I really like John. He's a really nice guy. Speaking of actors and nice people, John is one of them that is very nice. But I just think he's probably interested in what's going on. That's what I think. Okay, no, wait. DK Canada. Okay. The talk show host took clips of Gary's films and edited in some ridiculous sound effects. Old man couldn't even talk. He was laughing so hard. Interesting. Antics of a Mama Squirrel. I hired one of my mom's, for her 75th birthday. That's really cute. That's really a good idea. Oh my God, a Frank Sinatra. Ooh, how fun. Did your mom love it? I bet she did. And then Connie B said, we used to go to a dinner theater when I was a teenager. I thoroughly enjoyed watching plays then. My favorite was Wait Until Dawn, Wait Until Dark, where Jonathan Fired played the bad guy. Okay. She did love it. Yeah, I bet. I bet. That's really sweet. I've hired singing telegrams. Really? Way back in the day. Yeah, I remember it back in the day. I haven't heard of it in a long time though. That's kind of interesting to have it happen now. It is. 49ers for life. One thing I disagree with, the anti-Scientology movement, is that Tom Cruise isn't a good actor. Oh no, I think he's a good actor. He's been in so many classics. Top Gun, Maverick is an amazing and universally loved. No, I agree with you in that, 49ers. I love him. I love him in A Few Good Men. That's one of my favorites. And what's the other one with Jack Nicholson? I love that one too. Well, I think that is A Few Good Men. No, I'm thinking of The Firm and A Few Good Men. Yeah. Yeah, he's a good actor. I don't have a problem with that. I do disagree with everybody who's like, I'll never go see a Tom Cruise film. It's like, really, do you think it's going to make any difference with him? It doesn't. And some of his films are. I don't like the more recent ones because I don't like really high action films. So that's not my thing. Cruise is a good actor. He's just a hole from everything I've heard. He's an a-hole. Yeah. 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 That's everything I've heard too. And I know people that worked with him directly and they said that he really is. So I think he has his way of like, being on the set and he's so nice to everybody and everybody's like, oh my God, he's the nicest guy in the world. But that's, he knows what he's doing on that. He's just, that's PR. It's not him. But I know the people that were at his house and they were like, no. Okay. Great Girl in the Sky. 4th of July was intense. True. Yeah, he was in quite a few really good movies. However, I do love John Travolta for some reason. Yeah, me too. He's a really good guy. He just is. Sight Cater. Tom Cruise gives me the creeps, and he always seems to play himself or the persona he would like to embody. Yeah, I think that's true. I think he's a big narcissist. I do think that's true. But, okay, probably not unusual for many people in that industry. Connie B, mostly because I love Urban Cowboy. Yeah. And Sight Cater, I never see the characters he is playing, only Tom Cruise yet again. I did. I saw him in. Did you see The Firm? Did you see that? I saw him. He seemed like very much like a person. He didn't seem like Tom Cruise. I mean, he was Tom Cruise, but you know what I mean. Being from Texas and all, Connie. Larry L. Hi, welcome. Okay. Oh, hi, Eric. Hello, Tori, and all. Love from Culver City, California. Hello. And Larry, Tom Cruise is short. So is David Miscavige. Verity, hi, Eric. And Larry is, I'm taller than Tom Cruise. Yeah, I have no doubts. So there you go. I've heard that Larry L. Prince was also very short. Yeah, it's amazing how many people are short in the industry. It really is. I mean, I know a few people in the industry and they've told me, oh, yeah, they're really short. You don't know it because they obviously wear lifts and different things. And they have people around them that are that same height. So Larry's saying hi to everybody. And Connie says, I feel bad putting people down for their height, something that you have no control of. No, I don't feel like I'm putting them down. I agree with you. It's not something, I don't think I'd put them down. It's just a fact. If you just say someone is short, that's not putting them down. If they take it as it's putting them down, that's on them. That's the way I feel. You can't tell a camera. Well, they can set it up so that you look better than you really do, or you're taller. John Travolta seems rational. Do you think he's ever tried to change things in CFS from within? That's a good question. That's a very good question. I would think, yeah, but and I'm sure they go, that is a good idea. We are going to be on that. And then it doesn't happen. And they either come up with a reason why, or they just go, we're still working on it. We've got this other thing that's like vital and we've got to handle that first, but we've got that in the pile. That's what I think. Yeah, they're constantly bullshitting the celebrities. All right. I'm 5'3" and I'm short and fun size. That's good, Eric. All right, Connie, like I used to be 5'5" all my life, and now I'm 5'3". Help, I'm shrinking. You have to stretch. That'll make you stretch out again. Larry, that's right about TV adding what, 10 pounds? Yeah, it does. Sorry, all my life, even. Hi, Casey. Hi, Casey Knight. How are you? Hi, Tori. Thought I would say hi since I haven't been to a live in a while. Thank you, Casey. Well, thank you for coming by. I just have been telling everyone I have a new schedule. I'm going to do Monday nights and Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock. So it's a little earlier for people. And then Friday nights is going to be the Midnight with Magoo starting at 11, kind of 11 till midnight. And then Sunday is going to be a Q&A. So if anybody has questions, you can send them to me and I will ask them and I'll answer them. So there you go. That's the plan, Jen. And if any of those times don't work for you all, I need you to let me know. So, because I'm trying to find out what works for everybody. All right. Miss seeing you, Verity said. All right. Now the question is, who do you miss seeing? I think we all miss seeing each other. I wish we all lived on the same block. That would be fun. Then we could see each other and have dinner together, and that would be great. John Travolta was caught taking pictures of the protesters. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Aaron made part of his video was that, that he'd just driven by. I saw him. Yep. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if the lad wants to leave. I wouldn't. I mean, I think he was mainly staying in because of his wife. And now although someone told me that he has a daughter. I didn't know he had a daughter. I didn't realize that. Does he have a daughter and is she still in? Because that would be a big factor. A black party? All right. Oh, a block party. I see. Tori, I saw it too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they were out in front with their Tom Cruise statue, and Aaron said, I'm going to get one of John Travolta. But he hasn't yet. Probably takes a while to get it made up. But that'll be fun. That'd be really fun. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with those guys. It's good that they're in Clearwater and they're protesting on Friday night because Friday night is graduation. Sophie, yeah, it is really little. That's true. He probably has a few cars. I mean, he has a few planes, so he probably has a few cars too. But the one he was in was pretty small. I think was it a Corvette? I'm not sure what it was, but it did look pretty small. I know here in Burbank, we used to run into who's the guy that used to run the Tonight Show after Johnny Carson? Jay Leno. And Jay Leno has tons of different cars. And so you'd see him in these really old, Model T cars or something, and you'd go, I think that's Jay Leno. And he'd always go like this, yep, it is. It is. He always waves. He's very friendly with the whole community. It's really nice. Tiny car philosophy. Tiny car Sophie. Okay. Oh, it's an older Mercedes. That makes sense. Those are awful cars. I mean, it wouldn't be for John because he has tons of money, but my friend bought one of those and had it shipped over from Germany. And as soon as anything breaks, it costs a fortune. It's really expensive. She had a very hard time with it. Yep, that makes sense. I like that he has his own landing strip there so he can fly in. I saw him in an interview and they said, this is kind of far away from your home because he's in Clearwater and the interview was here in LA. And he said, yeah. And the gentleman interviewing him said, you probably flew here, right? And he goes, yep. And he goes, in your own plane? And he goes, yep. And he goes, can I ask you what size it was? And he goes, 747. It's like, but he said it's different than most planes. I have a bedroom in it and a dining room. And, yeah, it sounded like a moving house, it was amazing. Yep. The parts are expensive. Yeah. She had a really rough time with it. He has his own, it's a 747. It's not a 74. It's a 747. Yeah, it's a big plane. And it's his own. So like he said, I walk out my door, I get in my plane, I fly here. That's kind of nice. It really is. Yeah. He owns his own 747. Exactly. Yeah. Not bad. My friend was going to learn how to fly and buy a plane, and he got into it, but he said, nah, here in LA, it's too crowded in the airwaves. He said, I just could, I didn't want to do it. He did it for a while. He took lessons and stuff. And I said, no. Plus, it's really expensive to own a plane. Like Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden, he can fly it. Okay. I don't know that. Everyone in other countries want vintage American cars, but I guess some Americans want vintage European cars like Travolta's. Not me, but probably some do. Yeah, we saw a great car tonight when we went out to eat. Oh, I think Drew said it's a 1937, but it was beautiful. I mean, it was in beautiful shape. Oh, it was so pretty. Really fun. Well, so do you guys have any fun plans for the weekend? It's the weekend. I have no idea what. I know it's going to be warm here, so that's going to be different. But we'll see. We'll see what ends up. I'm always like, my brother's always like, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, who knows? it's like whatever we decide, different people call up and we go, let's do this. And I'm like, okay, I'm in. One of my friends said, God, you do stuff all the time. You're always doing stuff. And I said, I mean, it's just the way I've been my whole life. I'm active. It's like I want to be outside. I want to do stuff. I'm not like because I'm old, I have to, stay in my house. And, no, that's not me. First of all, I don't feel old. I'm 77, which is old. It is. But I don't feel old. I really don't. And I love doing different adventures. I love it. I really do. So, I'm out and about. That's my thing. And whoever said that to me was much younger than me. They said, oh yeah, that's right. It was Josh. It was like, you're way younger than I am. And you and Spank, you're always doing stuff. And I said, that's just the way we are. I mean, it's just incredible, some of the stuff that we do, and different people, friends of mine. Being outside is awesome. I agree. All right. Now, Sophie said, Tori, we are famous for our rugby team. The All Blacks. Okay. A really famous All Black is now a helicopter pilot. Whenever I see one, I tell my boys it's Richie Macau. Aw, that's cool. That's really cool. How old are your boys? Sophie, how old are your boys? Oh, if you want to tell me. If you don't, that's okay. Hi, Cats Up, 27. I like going out, but I hate driving. 49ers for life. Yeah, I used to hate driving for life, but I used to hate driving, but I've gotten better at it. And it's just a matter of slowing down. That's the thing. If you try to zoom around, you're going to hate it because there's too many crazy people. At least here in our area, there's too many fast drivers and they're crazy. So I drive over on the right-hand side and I just putt along and I get to places that it's like, then I don't have to worry about it. I don't want to worry. I really don't. I don't want to have to worry about getting in an accident. Hi, Cats Up 27. Thank you for coming. And 49ers for life, I would think you could just walk around, right? You're in Hawaii, right? I think. No, wait. Do I have you wrong? No, it's JB 808 is in Hawaii. I forget where you are, 49ers for life. Tell me where you are. All right, now, Arrow 23, or ERA. I've been feeling they keep working maybe at reduced hours until they pass on. Ooh. Okay. I hate being inside. Someone else said, let me see who that is. 82 next week is Senko. I don't know what is Senko? Being outside is awesome. Tori, we are famous. Okay, we read that. I like going out, but I hate driving. Okay. I feel like I keep working, maybe at reduced rate. I have a feeling they keep working, maybe at a reduced rate until they pass on. Who are you talking about? Era 23. Yeah, Larry, I don't hate being inside by any means. I don't. But I'd hate being inside all the time. That I would hate. Okay, Cult of Scientology. Back in the 60s and 70s, European cars had to be upgraded to the dealership, big money, to American safety standards. It wasn't until the 80s that they were shipped ready to sell in the USA. Yeah, that's when she got it in the 80s. That's right. Okay. I'll tell you, Tori. Okay, that's fine. Hello from Canada. Hi, Cats Up 27. And I got in a real bad car accident 6 years ago. I'm sorry to hear that, 49ers for Life. I broke my pelvis and had surgery for internal bleeding. Ouch. Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. No, you live in LA. All right, well, then we should get together. I want to get together with people that are here in LA. That's really interesting. Thanks, Sophie said to Cult. And I was a courier driver for decades. Interesting, Larry. That's why I hate driving. Oh, because of the accident. Yeah, that would do it. That would really do it. And Larry still loves driving. Good. Arrow 23. Yep, Nick is pronounced Ara. Yep, Nick is pronounced Ara. Am I saying it right? Ara? YRB. This weekend at Blue. Oh, it's his birthday? I thought it was March 13th is his birthday. So they're doing a celebration this weekend that you know about? Because I'll go if that's the facts. Hi, OSA. We'll have to get our friends there. If that's true, we got to find out. Larry, I don't like driving, but I love being outside, and anything is better than being in an office. Amen on that, sister. I'm there on that. Getting paid to drive is awesome. I think you're right on that. Also, there's a wonderful crane dance going on as they take down the smokestacks. Now, where is that, YRB? Is this on LRH Way? What smokestacks are they taking down? I hear ya. Okay. Tori, when are we getting married on the free winds? Never. Tori, if someone is a Scientologist and you ask if they are, do they have to tell you? No, they don't. And they're kind of chronic liars. So they might say no, and they are, but they just, if they know me and they think I'm going to, or they know any critics and they think they're going to start pounding them about something, which I don't, but Scientology lies and tells them I do. Way to go, OSA, keep lying. Then they might just lie and say, no, I'm not. A lot of people, I was surprised how many people are really terrified to say they're Scientologists. Because when I was in Scientology, I would always tell people, they would say, God, I really like you guys. You're really nice. And I'd say, well, we're Scientologists. And I would get out to the car and my friend would say, I can't believe. And she owned a mission. And she said, I can't believe you told them you're a Scientologist. And I said, hello, we're Scientologists. If everyone in LA told people that they were Scientologists, we would not have the awful PR that we have. And I still think that's true to this day. It's one of their biggest mistakes is that they're all terrified to say they're Scientologists. So the only people they know of are, nutballs. They really, or, they just don't. They don't really know. I mean, their doctor might be a Scientologist. Their dentist might be a Scientologist. Lots of people around them, their neighbors, stuff like that. I mean, this was in the old days when there were. Now that most of them have left also. But back then they were. And if they would have just said it, it would have been a different picture. Ron Hubbard, you can go away. Amen on that, Larry. In your dreams, sir. I would never call L. Ron Hubbard, sir. Are we buffering or am I late? You're not late and we're not buffering. Yep, you said it right. A-Ra. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Hi, Iran. LTNS. Love to, I don't know what that means. Hans, you'll have to tell me what LTNS means. And Verity says, I didn't learn to drive until I was 47. And now it's my freedom. Wow, that's really big. That is. I bet it is. That's huge. It's huge. All right. The tent is up. Oh, they put up another tent. Sophie, not buffering here too. No, it's not buffering. Okay, so they put up a tent. I wonder, you must live near there, YRB. I wonder if the L. Ron Hubbard is acting in character for some odd reason or just being an OSA troll. I don't know. Anybody who uses L. Ron Hubbard as their nickname, not interested. It's not, it's just there's too much ickiness connected with that name. Why would you take that as a nickname? I mean, I have never gone, oh, here's L. Ron Hubbard. It's like, no, it's never going to happen. Not ever. Not with me. Not ever. And I think with a lot of other people too. The backside of Lebanon Hall next to the horseshoe. Yeah, that's where they always have their big parties now because it's sort of hidden from the public and the critics. Okay, everything is good now. Good. Question, Tori. Why is it considered okay to lie about so much in Scientology? Well, first of all, it's not, they don't promote you lie. They're really big on we tell the truth, right? But Hubbard was really big on it's an acceptable truth. Now, what is an acceptable truth? Well, let's say somebody says, how are you doing? And you don't really feel that good, but you don't really want to lay it on them. So you say, I'm fine. That's an acceptable truth. Do you see what I mean? So there's a lot of things that are acceptable truths that are things that people do every single day, but they stretch it out into like, are you a Scientologist? No. Okay, that's a flat out lie. That isn't an acceptable truth. That's a lie. And after a while, they don't really know the difference because they're so used to that kind of thing. But that's how it came about from the acceptable truth. Sophie, are you a philosopher? She is. She's really good with questions too. Just curious. I guess I'll shut up and let her answer. No, it's a wordplay on my name, Sophie, which means wisdom. Oh, cool. I do like a lot of philosophy and have studied the ones I like. Me too. That's what helped me wake up, was studying books about philosophy and self-improvement. All right, now, long time no see. Okay. Verity. I agree about driving. It's awesome. And Hans says not a troll. Okay, so L. Ron Hubbard is not a troll. Okay. I'm just saying I'm never going to have an affinity for that name. It just isn't going to happen. So he can either switch his name around a little bit, and then he could be someone that people could care for, or he can keep being L. Ron Hubbard. And I don't get the point of it. I really don't. A lie is a lie when you are saving the planet. 49ers for life. Good one. Yeah. I'm just saying they don't promote it as a lie. They don't say, oh, yeah, go out and lie. Although they do have a drill, I've been told from the Sea Org, that they do have some kind of a drill on lying. But I never did that drill. So I can't really speak from experience, but I know other people have done it. And I know it exists. I forget the name of it. Not good to use that nickname. Yeah, I agree, Larry. It's just not a smart nickname. I hate it. Thank you. That's where the snake stacks. Oh, that's where the smoke stacks. That's where the smoke stacks. Oh, I see. You're saying where the tent is, where they're having the party, that's where the smokestacks are. I didn't know that they had smokestacks there. Okay. Are we telling people right now to name themselves? Are we telling people now how to name themselves? I'm not telling anybody anything. I have a right to have an opinion. And I'm just saying, for someone named L. Ron Hubbard, who I have lived with so much pain and lies from him and medical abuse, I am never going to have an affinity for the name L. Ron Hubbard. That's me. I have a right to tell you I can't stand that. Most of the nicknames that I see, I love. But even if I don't, that's someone's choice. I don't really care. But someone who's abused me for 30 years, oh yeah, and lied about it and ended up he was taking medicine while he made me get off my medicine. So I had grand mal seizures. So I have short-term memory loss for the rest of my life. I'm not going to have an affinity for that name. I don't care who he's pretending to be. That name is connected to that abuse. And that's the way I feel about it. So there you go. All right. So sorry if I get snippy on it, but it's a little bit of a touchy subject. That's where the smoke stacks. All right. If you're saving the planet, a lie doesn't matter. My mom was deceived by Scientology a long time ago. Oh, okay, Larry. That's creepy. So she was in, but you weren't. Is that correct? Wow. All right, Sophie, comment. So it's not considered a lie. It's a renaming of an acceptable truth. Right. I'm just saying they stretch it. Do you see what I mean? Like it starts out, well, that's an acceptable truth, but you end up, like me opening those phony accounts under, some phony name with a cashier's check in the 90s for the Church of Scientology and saying I was someone else and telling them this story about how my dad died. I mean, it was like my auditor made it sound like that the world was going to begin or end with me opening these accounts. And if I couldn't do it, Scientology was going to crash to the bottom. And it was all my responsibility. And I know it sounds stupid, but remember, there was no internet back then, or at least if there was, I wasn't reading it. And I just didn't know. And so I was like, all right, I'll do it. But it all came under that it's an acceptable truth because you're basically like 49ers for life. It's like it's all okay because you're saving the planet. And that's kind of their thing. And it's not true. But it takes a long time. When you're surrounded by people who are doing the same thing, it's very tricky to wake up and realize, wait a minute, this isn't right. Brainwashing. That's right, Larry. Yeah, study brainwashing. That'll definitely help you understand it. Almost tried to brainwash me. Whoa, they did. So I understand. Okay. Hans, dude, I am an ex-Sea Org. I can see a good jokers and degraders. This L. Ron isn't what you think. Okay. And dude, I can see he's not what I think either. I don't think he's L. Ron Hubbard, but I can say what I feel, and that's all I'm saying. And if you're talking to me, I'm just saying that. I didn't say Zosa. I never said that. I just said the name represents something very creepy for me. All right. No effing OSA would name themselves anyway. I'm out too much revision. Well, anyway, they wouldn't. He's right. They would never name themselves L. Ron Hubbard. They wouldn't. But to me, it's just not something that I'm comfortable with. But that doesn't mean he has to change it. It's up to him. Larry, I mainly got into French postmodern school like Charlie Baudrillard, whose book, I can't even say it, was the basis of the Matrix films. Wow. It's a book in the very beginning of Neo. Wow. Till next time, Tori. Oh, Hans, don't leave just because we're having this disagreement on this name. I'm sorry you're leaving. Come back again. Okay, Mr. Anderson, Soapy. Yes, Tori, it's correct. I remember cashier's checks. You do? Were you part of the top secret mafia? Or you remember me telling about it? Which one is that? Because I need to know. Larry, it's the book with the disc in it in the beginning of the first film. It's really good book, actually. Oh, cool. Way back then. Okay, Larry, I think that the girl gives him the book. Oh, the Cult of Scientology. In 75, my mom got snagged up by the Jehovah's Witness cult. They're everywhere. Wow. Yeah, they were. They used to be. They're not so much anymore. Sophie, can I get it on audio track? Oh, good, Larry. That's a good idea. YRB, if you named a delicious chocolate brownie dessert black and liver, it would never sell. Thank you. Amen, brother. That is the truth. Sophie, Tori, your feelings are totally valid. Thank you, Sophie. I agree with what you said about his name. This particular person is using the name to troll Scientology. They totally support Tori. Wait. This particular person is using the name to troll Scientology. They totally support Tori. Okay. So they support Tori, meaning who? When you say they support Tori? Because you're just saying in one sentence, this particular person is using the name to troll Scientology. Oh, I see what you're saying. They support me and they're trolling Scientology by using L. Ron Hubbard. Okay, I get it. All right. I can handle that. It's still not great for me, but I get it, and that helps. Thank you. That helps. It really does. And I feel bad when people have a disagreement and they leave because, like the other gentleman, said, "I'll see you later," and it's like, that's too bad. Because see, you came up and explained it, and now I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. I didn't get it that way. I couldn't think with it that way, but okay. All right. So, Sophie, sorry, Tori, this person who uses Elron's name, who was in here, is a supporter of anti-Scientology. Yeah, I got it. Good. All right. Well, there you go. Thank you for explaining that. That's sort of what I thought, but I'm still stick with that particular name. I will never have an affinity with. I don't care who's trolling who. I won't. But you haven't been through what I have with that name. So there you go. Okay. Arrow 23, free wins, more like paid wins. Yeah. God, is that the truth? And how about they have the asbestos in the, I don't know if they got the asbestos out of the free wins or not, but I know that Larry, is it Larry Anderson? I don't think it's Larry Anderson. I forget his name. But anyway, he worked there and he knew that they had asbestos and he blew that whistle on it. Larry Woodcraft, that's it. Lawrence Woodcraft. And he blew the whistle on that. You can Google Lawrence Woodcraft and he has a thing about asbestos on the free winds. And I don't know if they got rid of it or not. Plain and simple. All right, Larry. Eric Levitt, hope you're doing well. Yeah. Oh, hi, Eric. I had fun with my interview with you and talk about my journey with high-functioning autism. I enjoyed it. I'm glad you did. We enjoyed it, too. It was very educational. It really was. And thank you to Lovett for sending those links, because those different links about autism really have helped me. I've been continuing to study it since, and it's been very interesting. I've heard the asbestos might have been removed from Big Blue. Not sure about the free winds. I know it was removed from the testing center. You know, the testing center is on the main ground floor, but then there's a building above it, which is all Scientology, right? And that building had asbestos in it. And I know they removed it because I was driving around with a critic one day and we went by there and there was a big tunnel coming outside of the testing center, 15th floor. And he said, that's an asbestos tube to get rid of the asbestos. So they're cleaning it out. But I don't know about the free wind. Sounds like an auditory function of the bowel. Good one, YRB. Oh, that's funny. That should be on a t-shirt. That's a good one. Eric, any mom was seeing our interview. She loved it. Oh, yeah. Oh, your mom was seeing our interview and she loved it. Okay, good. Well, tell her I said hi. I'm really happy that we got to interview you. Good night, all. Getting sleepy. Have a good night. Good night, Cats Up 27. And I'm probably the same. I'm going to check out pretty soon. Does anybody have any questions before we go? With things like asbestos, which was used everywhere, it always makes me wonder what things we we do now that later we'll find out to be toxic. Very true. And the cult of Scientology said, Tori, I do not like the name L. Ron Hubbard either, but I am a Lafayette myself. Yeah, but being a Lafayette and being L. Ron Hubbard are two different things. You know, Lafayette is, I don't have a problem with that. But anyway, that's the way it is. Now, does anyone have a question before I end off? Because I'm going to end off, remember on my new schedule, like tonight's Friday night, so it's like Midnight with Magoo, and we went past midnight, so there you go. And Sunday, I'm going to do a Q&A or just a chat, you know, whichever. It'll be Q&A or chat. If people have questions, send them in and I'll ask them, or we'll just chat. And then it'll be Monday and Wednesday at 8, and Friday night is the Midnight with Magoo. There you go. All right, now YRB says the current demolition is being done under the eyes of the Air Quality Control District, making sure that there is no asbestos exposure to workers or neighborhoods. Good. How do you know that? That's good to know. Alt-religion Scientology van be searched with keywords like Xenu and PGP. Yeah, I think you can do the Wayback Machine and find the alt-religion Scientology also. And I was Miss Magoo 55 back then. So you can do the Wayback Machine and see that. And then you'll see I was just totally nuts. You know, I wasn't really nuts. I was acting nuts, but I wasn't really nuts, just so you know, because my questions are all totally insane. But it was because I was too afraid to actually ask a real question. Scientology spammers don't use those keywords somehow. Okay. And that's what she said. Thank you for coming by. You're fading, everyone. We'll see you next time. Cannot van. Awesome. All right, good. And YT Watcher. Hi, Tori. Are planning to have a reoccurring video with Bunky. I would love to see you both regularly. I am. We are soon. He's working, and so I'm trying to nail him down, but we'll see. As soon as I can, it will. But thank you for asking. All right, so you guys, I think I'm going to end off. I'm going to say goodnight. If you haven't hit the like button, please do, because that raises it up, the algorithm, and that means more people will see our video. Anyway, I love you guys. I thank you for coming. Sophie, thank you so much for being here as a moderator, and love it. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. All right. Be kind to each other, and I will talk to you soon. Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, good. Okay, good. Thank you, guys. All right, I'm out.